Shalom, Israel. This is Bishop Nathaniel. I want you to know that you can view all our Sabbath classes live on IUIC TV. That's right, I said on IUIC TV. Download the app today. Shalom.
Hey, what's wrong with you, man? You ain't subscribed yet? IUIC Atlanta Burning 2.0. What you waiting on? Get it done. Do it now.
Hey, get them clicks, get them likes, and subscribe. Do it now.
Hey, sis, you had a great... What's your name, by the way? Regina. I'm Solomon. What's your name, brother? Banks? All right, Regina Banks, and right here, my brother. What's your name?
Darryl Hughes.
Darryl Hughes. All right. My sister Regina had a great question. She asked about fathers, right? Because essentially your question is, fathers should take care of their children, right? And how important that role is in the black community. Let's see what the Bible says about a father. Give me Sirach 30 and verse 1. Because many of us in the black community, guess what, Regina? We grew up with no daddies in the house. No daddies. Because guess what? I bet you some of these men that's out here, they got kids. But what they out here doing? You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Our older generation, a lot of times we don't admit it, but they have failed us. You see what I'm saying? Remember, I'm sure you're old enough to remember, you might have been a younger child, right? But during the civil rights movement, we had what? Strong leaders, right? It was a good thing to be at the home and take care of your kids, take care of your family, right? Even when you have Black Panthers and all these different movements that happened, they were priding themselves on taking care of their families, because we know as a people, a strong black family breeds a strong, healthy nation.
That's right.
But if the black man is not handling his responsibilities, guess what? Our nation gonna be trodden down. Right. So read that. Read me Sirach 30 and start at verse 1.
Sirach chapter 30 verse 1.
Bring it out.
He that loveth his son causeth him out to feel the rod, that he may have joy of him in the end.
It says if you love your son, right? This is a father. A father who loves their son is going to correct their child when they go off. That's why when the scriptures tell us, hey, be a father unto the fatherless, right? These young boys that we see around the community, gang banging, robbing, shooting, stealing, guess what the old men's supposed to be doing? The older generation. We supposed to be fathers unto them.
That's right.
Hey, pull your pants up, right? But do we do that today? No. Do we do that today? Do the older men do that today?
Some have tried, but then they're scared of getting shot.
Right. Because what? The young men is the one terrorizing the communities now.
Bring it out.
But imagine if we would have stood strong and stiffly, huh? Right, as fathers. Read on, come on.
He that chastises his son shall have joy in him, and shall rejoice of him among his acquaintance.
So it says, he that chastises his son will have joy in him. At the time when you correcting your son, guess what? It's not joyous. But you know I have to do this in order to make sure my son is an upstanding, God-fearing man, according to the Bible. Not according to this man, because a lot of us been taught how to be men by the so-called white man.
Bring it out.
We believe that this is Jesus. This is the person who has taught our men how to be boys. How to be boys, not men. We have been taught how to be boys by Christianity. Because Christianity, and majority of the churches, who populate the churches today? Is it men or women? Women. Women and what other? But what type of black men? Are they straight men?
Males.
They're males, right? Yeah, exactly. But a lot of time they be sodomites, homosexual. Two men lying together. That's the spirit that's on a lot of them. How many times we done heard the news about a famous preacher lying down with somebody in a boy in the congregation? You see what I'm saying? Read on.
He that teacheth his son grieveth the enemy.
Come on.
And before his friends he shall rejoice of him.
The Bible says that if you teach your son and you instruct your son, you're gonna grieve the enemy. What that mean, Regina?
You inviting negative energies and spirits.
No. What that mean, my brother? What was your name again? I'm sorry. Banks.
What's that?
It says, he that teacheth his son grieveth the enemy. What that mean?
It means that the ones that's doing evil are upset that you're teaching the right way.
Yes, yes, they mad because why you teaching this boy that Jesus is a black man? Why you teaching this boy to keep the commandments of God? That if he lie down with his sister, he must marry her and take care of his family. Why you teaching your sons not to be adulterers? Why you teaching your sons not to be robbers, gangbangers? Remember, the Black Panthers was teaching good in the community, but what they do? They killed all of the leaders. And the ones who did survive, guess what? They immersed them in politics and gave them jobs and money. To what? To do what? You see my brother Banks on point. To hush them up, Regina. Read.
Though his father died, yet he as though he were not dead. For he has left one behind him that is like himself.
So the Bible says, though your father die, right? Because if my father taught me well, he gonna instill everything in me that I need to know as a man. So though he may die, guess what? He left behind an avenger. Meaning my mind is after my father's mind. So now, Regina, knowing that, because you asked a great question, knowing that we don't have fathers, now what does that mean about the state of our young men today?
They've been failed.
Because give me 1 Corinthians. Don't go nowhere, Banks, yet. Don't go nowhere. Give me like 2 more minutes, Banks. 2 more minutes. Come on, man. The Most High God is more important than any other. Listen, we out in the sun too. And I'm using my energy, bouncing back and forth, talking, doing all of that. Huh? You got to pee? Hold on, Regina. I got you. Read that. 1 Corinthians 11. Let's read the order. Because do you believe that the man is the head of the household?
Yeah, I do.
You believe that, Banks? Okay. Most definitely. Let's see what the Bible says.
1 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 3.
Bring it out.
But I will have you know that the head of every man is Christ.
So Christ is the man's head, right? You got God, you got Christ, you got the man. We have to be in subjection to Christ, correct? Read.
And the head of the woman is the man.
The head of what?
The head of the woman is the man.
So the head of the woman now is the man. So Banks right here is supposed to be the head of his household. Read.
And the head of Christ is God.
And the head of Christ is God. Now, so the Lord was setting up the hierarchy in the family. The man is at the head of the family, right? But now, if my father has not been teaching me those things of how to be a man and guide my family, what does that mean is happening to the family structure within our communities?
Well, you have some strong black women out here. That can
What is
hold
that? What is that, Regina?
A strong black woman.
Uh-huh.
She's a provider. She's gonna be the head. She's gonna do everything that she knows how to do to stir her child in the right direction. And then she still got to put God first. Teach them about God. You can teach them about God, but until they get their own understanding, that's when they gonna believe. But you got some strong black women out here can raise, because I'm one of them.
Okay. So let me ask you this, Regina, because I understand when the father leaves the household and you left to take care of the kids, right? But now, when have we ever heard the term strong Chinese woman, or strong white woman, or strong Arab woman? We only coined that term in the black community. You know what? You know why? Because it's to promote the idea that you don't need a man, right? No matter what, can you ever teach your son how to be a man?
I can't teach him how to be a man, but I can teach him how to have respect for a woman.
But the latter part wasn't my question. All I asked was, can you teach? Okay. What about you, my brother? Can a woman teach a man how to be a man? You need a father, right? You need a man. The man has to be there. So there's, no matter what you do, as much as you may look, because guess what? When my mother and my father split when I was 12 years old, I grew up with my mother. My mother did her best, but she could not teach me how to be a man. You see what I'm saying? There's certain things that she could not teach me how to do. All praises. So now, knowing that a woman cannot teach a young man how to become a full man, right? What does that mean about the state of our people? Because you look at what's going on in Macon. Macon is crime-ridden, right?
I got to go pee. Boy, I be
Go ahead, Pete. Come back, Regina. Macon got a lot of crime that go on out here, right? My brother? Yes, no, maybe so?
It has its fair share.
It has its fair share. Are you from Macon? Where you from?
Tennessee.
Tennessee can be even worse. We just came from Nashville, Tennessee. What was the name of the projects? The JC something, Judico projects or something like that. We just came from Nashville, Tennessee, right? Where a brother was just put to death out there.
Right.
What we was going over with Regina is how important the man is within the family structure. And how in America we've been taught that the family divided is stronger. That's what America has taught us. See what I'm saying? Now I see you looking at the sign, right? What's your nationality according to the Bible? Or let me ask you, what would you say your nationality is? Because maybe you don't know according to the Bible.
My nationality is Hebrew.
Okay, you're a Hebrew, but there were multiple nations of people that came from Eber, which is the term Hebrew came from. Eber was Abraham's Yeah, I'm sorry, I was drawing a blank real quick. Abraham's grandfather. That's where the term Eber came from. Hebrew came from. So now, what nation of people do you descend from?
What do you mean?
What nation of people do you descend from? Because that's where nationality comes from. It's not the nation you reside in.
It depends on which following you practice.
Because remember, you believe in the Bible, right? Okay, Paul was a Roman citizen, right? He was a Roman citizen, but was his nationality a Roman? He was what? Let's read it. Give me that. Romans 11.
Yeah, verse 1.
Read that.
Romans chapter 11 and verse 1.
Bring it up.
I say then, have God cast away his people? God forbid. For I am also an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin.
You see that? Paul was an Israelite from the tribe of Benjamin. So he knew that, right? And this is the New Testament. So now we got to understand the importance of knowing who we are. My sister Regina, come here. What's the importance of knowing who we are, my brother? Is it important? Because you say you believe in the Bible, right? Is it important to know who we are as a people? Of course, right? So now, give me Deuteronomy 28. Let me ask you a question. Who's this man on this sign?
No one?
No one. Who you say, Regina?
It was the God that we was taught to believe in.
The what?
The God that we was taught to believe in.
Ah, I like that. I like that, right? Because many of the times our people believe that this is Jesus. And I know you say you Hebrew, so you may have a little bit of knowledge that Jesus wasn't a white man, right? That's probably why you said that. Am I correct? So, many of our people believe this. When we ask the little kids, like if I was to ask your son to come up and tell me who this man is, they'll say Jesus. When we Google it, when we Google Jesus Christ, guess what? This man pop up. But how does the Bible describe him? And I want to read this, Deuteronomy 28 and verse 64. Because in Deuteronomy, Moses was given the commandments to give to the children of Israel. God told him, listen, if they keep my commandments, I'm going to bless them. But if they disobey my commandments, he's going to put curses on us. I'm going to read one of the curses that God said he would put on us. Read.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods.
So now, one of the curses was that the children of Israel would be scattered from one end of the earth to the other. You know what that was called? The transatlantic slave trade. The sub-Saharan slave trade. Where blacks were spread from one side of the world all across the other. Remember, we was taken from the west coast of Africa and spread all throughout the world. The difference between us and the so-called African Americans in the West Indies, the Haitians, the Puerto, guess what? We just stopped off the slave trade. So God says that we was going to be scattered throughout all the world. Read the bottom half again.
And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known,
So God says also he was going to cause us to serve other religions. That's why we got Christianity. That's why we got Islam. That's why we got Buddhism. That's why we got Egyptology. That's why we got all these different religions that black folks love so much. Now give me Revelations 1. Because I asked Regina, who does they say this man is, right? But what color is Jesus? Huh?
Black, it describes him as a black man.
Where?
When it says it's gold, Harris gold, bronze, and something about the skin.
Okay, you won. Let's read it for you. Revelations 1. And you listen, you got to remember this. Why? Because people are going to challenge you on that. They're going to say, it doesn't matter what color Jesus is. Oh, he wasn't any color. But wasn't he nailed to a cross? He walked the earth for 33 years, but he ain't no color. Read that.
Revelation chapter 1 and verse 14. Bring it up. His head and his hairs were white like wool.
It says his hairs was white and woolly. Who got woolly textured hair, Regina? We do. Right. Black folks do, and they try to tell us our hair nappy. No, this is God-like hair that you got. That's right. Read.
As white as snow. Come on. And his eyes were as a flame of fire.
Because Jesus would drink wine in moderation. So that's why it says his eyes was as a flame of fire. He wasn't shooting laser beams like a dang on Marvel character. No. Christ drank wine in moderation. Read.
Right. And his feet like unto fine bread.
Now, John the Revelator looked down at his feet. I'm looking down at your ankles, which is close enough to your feet, right? And they're the same color as the rest of your body. Am I right or wrong? Read.
As if they burned in a furnace.
It says there was like brass as if it was burned in a furnace. When you take brass, which is a derivative of brown, and you burn it, what color does it turn? I didn't get your name. What was your name, my brother?
Esau.
Huh?
Esau.
Esau. Okay. What color does it turn, Esau?
Dark.
Dark, right? Now, do you know the name Esau, right? You know where that's from? Where?
Son of Isaac and Rebekah.
Right. But he was which son of Isaac and Rebekah? Which one?
What do you mean?
Which son was he?
Twin.
You got a flyer, right?
Yes,
Okay.
He was the eldest twin.
Okay. Now, and before I move on, I do want to confirm that. So we know that this description is wrong about Christ, right? And this one is the correct description. That's just a depiction of Christ. We're not saying that that's exactly what he looked like, but guess what? The Bible describes him as a black man. So we should be depicting him as a black man with white woolly hair. You see what I'm saying? Now, the name Esau, give me that in Genesis 25. Because Esau is a term, it means wasted away is he. The so-called Caucasian race is Esau, right? They don't have any melanin in their skin. You can see the blood through their skin, right? Now, your father is a so-called black man or a so-called white man? He's a black man, right? He would be from the tribe of Judah. You would be from the tribe of Judah because you are what your father is, right?
That's right.
So now, and this is the name your parents gave you, so I'm not telling you that, you know, okay, I'm just hoping you don't get offended, but I'm just going over the name. And it should prompt you to want to maybe get out of the name and change the name, right? But read that.
Genesis chapter 25 and verse 25. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment. Come on. And they called his name Esau. And after that, his brother came out.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jump up. Let's get the history. Yeah.
Verse 21. And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren. And the Lord was entreated of him. And Rebekah, his wife, conceived.
So, Rebekah couldn't get pregnant, right? They prayed to the Lord that she be able to get pregnant, and the Lord blessed her. Read.
And the children struggled within her.
And it says the children struggled within her, meaning they were fighting. Read.
And his children struggled within her. And she said, if it be so, why am I thus?
She said, Lord, if this is a blessing, why does it feel like my children are at war in my womb? Read.
And she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb.
Now, it says 2 nations are in thy womb. Now, does the Lord mean that she got 2 million people in her womb fighting? Eventually, right? But at that present time, it was just saying there's 2 different people in your womb. Read.
And 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels.
Meaning these are 2 different types of people. 2 manner of people. Come on.
And the one people shall be stronger than the other people.
One group of people is going to be stronger than the other group of people. Read.
And the elder shall serve the younger.
Now, that's important to remember. It says the eldest child shall be a servant to the younger child. Come on.
And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb.
Now, like you said earlier, there were twins in her womb, but these can't be identical twins. How we know? How do we know based on what we read that they can't be identical twins? Come on, flow with me, flow with me. I want it to be a conversation. So how to, based on what we read, or if you don't know, just say I don't know. I was, you know.
I mean, I'm open. I already have my understanding, but I'm open.
Okay.
So I'm here listening, not to really.
Okay, because I just, what's your understanding on it?
That's a whole dialogue.
We dialogue.
This is not my platform.
We dialogue.
Respectfully, it's not my platform.
Okay, so you know you're an Israelite. You already teach about our brothers and sisters about being an Israelite. Is that what you're saying? Okay, so read that.
And the first came out red, all over, like a hairy garment.
So now, the Bible says that the first one came out red all over like a hairy garment. Right? We know they weren't identical twins because they're already stated that there's 2 manner of people. Right? 2 manner of people meaning 2 different types of people. They walk, talk, look different. So the first one came out red all over like a hairy garment. Come on.
And they called his name Esau. And after that, his brother came out, and he took his hand, and he took hold on Esau's heel.
Now, they made a point to describe what the first child looked like, but they didn't describe what the second child looked like. Because guess what? Everybody on the earth at that time was already of dark pigmentation. We was already different shades of brown. Because in Genesis 2 and 7, remember, the Lord formed man from the dust of the ground. See what I'm saying? So now, read.
And his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare him. And the boys grew. And Esau was a cunning hunter.
So now, Jacob and Esau are 2 different nations of people. Now, give me the blessing. Because there's a blessing that was passed down specifically from Abraham, Isaac, to Jacob. What is that blessing talking about?
Is that a question?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a dialogue. So, I mean, the blessing is supposed to be passed down to the elders. Through deception, the youngest obviously inherited the blessing.
You said through deception. Why you say through deception? Because of what Jacob did? But remember, the Lord had already told Rebecca. You see what I'm saying?
But this is why I say it's a dialogue. The reason it happened that way was because it was meant to be, because of what Jacob would come to do. That's what cursed Jacob's house. Okay,
so let me ask you a question. Let's just roll with your theology that it was deception, right? Now, does it change anything in terms of what was written about the promises pertaining to Jacob and his children? Okay, so.
But it also doesn't change the curses too.
What do you mean?
So the curse of him going off and leaving, marrying a woman, and him being deceived himself, right? By marrying the youngest first, or the eldest first. His perception was he was going to marry who he wanted to marry, which was the younger. But he had the word.
But he eventually got her. So. But what we're talking about is the promises that pertain to Jacob and his children, right? Which are the children of Israel. That's what we're referring to. Because give me Genesis 17 and verse 18. Because ultimately, that's what this all is about.
Well, that's why I say it's a dialogue. To me, ultimately, it's a double-edged sword. It's a two-sided coin. His birth and everything that was about him came with the blessing, but it also came with the curse as well. And we see that throughout his entire life.
Well, the curses that fell upon the children of Israel came from Deuteronomy 28. Not because of Jacob. I know you say it's deception, but it was already ordained of the Lord to happen that way. You see what I'm saying? That's why it says the eldest child shall be a servant to the younger child. It was already ordained. You see what I'm saying? So we can't really go with the fact that it was deception. The Lord had already ordained it to be that way. You see what I'm saying?
That's what I said. If it was ordained to be that way, it was just a matter of time. It's good and bad in everything that we exist. And we can't just focus on the good all the time, in my opinion.
Most definitely.
You have to look out at the foresight of
Hey,
the
look.
potential for bad being bad.
This was bad right here. This wasn't good. When we went through this wasn't good. You see what I'm saying? So we focus on the bad, but we also got to focus on the good. Our people are great people.
But even with that having us experience that, that experience caused this country of black people to be one of the most influential group of people culturally the world has ever seen. If you look at hip hop, no other culture penetrates like hip hop culture does across the world. If slavery never happened, then we wouldn't have that impact on the world. But what we do when we get that spotlight, when we get that ability to now share and speak, that's what matters. We were taken away, moved out of the spotlight. Now we've been put back into the spotlight. So now the question is, what do? We keep rapping about bitches and hoes, or do we find a way to work that narrative to our favor? Because now we're one of the most popularized cultures on the planet. So it's a good and a bad. It's the same thing happening over and over again. King Solomon said there's nothing new under the sun. The process repeats itself over and over again. If you can align with it and see how this thing works, then you can work.
How you doing, my sister? So I didn't want to cut you off while you were speaking, right? I agree with some of the things that you said. The things I disagree with is the fact that we seem to glorify the fact that we have a culture, quote unquote, meaning hip hop culture, which you stated, and we think that's something that we should be proud of.
Talk to him.
We should not be proud of that. The white man created this system of hip hop and music that we know of today to be our demise, to be our destruction. That's why they don't promote the things talking about positive things in a community. They don't promote people like Common who may say some positive things, right? The Lupe fiascos. They don't do that type of stuff. Or why don't they promote music that is uplifting our people, teaching us that we are the Israelites and we got to keep the commandments?
It goes back to what I just said. There's good and bad that comes with everything. It's up to the people to decide what you're going to do when you get it. That's what I mean when I said, now that we have that polarity, what are we going to do with it? I understand that the system itself was not created by white men. It was just popularized by white men. We created that culture.
Let me do Deuteronomy 28 and verse 48.
But the popularization of it was controlled by the people who were not really white or Jewish, let's just call it.
Well, they're Caucasian. The Jewish, so-called Jewish man is a Caucasian.
Right.
They come from the Caucasus Mountains of Russia, Georgia. Right? They are Caucasian, which ultimately they come from the lineage of Esau. Because that is where the Caucasian race descends from. You see what I'm saying? They're not really white. They call themselves white because in our minds, subconsciously, everything you think about that's white, what you think of? You think of it being what? When something is white, what does that mean?
Clean.
It's what? Clean. It's pure. It's undefiled. It's holy. That's what we think of when we think, like, look at that white car. It just look clean riding down it. That's a white car, right? But are they really white? No, they're not white. They are different shades of red.
That's right.
You may see some white folks who are, you ever seen them sunbathing? And you might walk past a white and they look like a damn red crayon. You see what I'm saying? When they get upset, you see the blood boiling through their skin, they turn red as your shirt. You see what I'm saying? So now, the Caucasian race in general was purposely put where they are because as a punishment for us disobeying God. When you read the curses that's in Deuteronomy, the reason that we are in this condition we in today is because we broke God's laws.
Right.
Because before we read 28, give me 7 and 6. We are God's chosen people. The most important thing about knowing who you are is knowing that the kingdom of heaven pertains to you. Rulership on the earth pertains to us. But guess what? We've been tricked into believing the doctrine that they gave us in Christianity.
What is a nation? Nation is men leading by example. Nation is family. Nation is community. Nation is children with role models. Nation is unity. Nation is you. And finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord. His word, his word.